It is now my honor and privilege to introduce the Governor of the Keystone State of Pennsylvania, the Honorable Tom Wolf. The Governor hails from York County in south central Pennsylvania, and he will be the first to tell you he is not a politician. He lives in the same house that he grew up in. He drove forklifts in his youth and worked in the warehouse of his family's building supply company. He joined the Peace Corps and served 2 years in India. He also ran a True Value hardware store. And now he governs Pennsylvania, the 33rd largest in size, 6th largest in population, 4th largest in number of veterans, and more important to us, the 1st largest state in number of VFW members. Comrades and distinguished guests, please welcome Governor Tom Wolf.
Wow, thank you very much. That was really nice. I hope all of you are having a good time in Pittsburgh, are you? All right. Unfortunately, the Pirates are not in town. And we're sorry for that because I know there are a lot of Pirates fans here. But we really appreciate your coming to Pennsylvania for this convention. As the Commander-in-Chief said, Pennsylvania has the highest number of veterans of foreign war members in the country. And my own small town, and I know John Brenner is here, maybe some other folks from my, all right, back there, yes. The VFW Post is one of the most, if not the most important institution in my town. So it's great to be here with you. I want to just do a shout out to a few people. National Commander John Stroud, just thank you very much again for holding your convention here. And the incoming National Commander John Bajeski, who is actually from Pittsburgh, from this area. And so, yes, thank you. And the National President of the Ladies Auxiliary, Ann Panelikas, I want to thank you again for being here and for leading the organization. I want to talk a little bit about what I think we need to do, not just here in Pennsylvania, but also around the country to honor what you have done for us. I appreciate what the VFW does for returning veterans, and I'm truly grateful, obviously, as all Americans are, to your members and the veterans who have done so much for our country and who have done so much for the people like me. So I am honored to be here with you. And I want to do two things. First, I want to recognize as I think all of us have to do eternally, I want to recognize the huge contributions veterans have made to our way of life. But second, I want to talk about the things that all of us, I think, owe you in return. We owe Every American citizen owes every veteran in return. Let me start with the recognition. Veterans clearly, obviously, are so important to all of us. They have shown a willingness to go to the last mile to defend the self-rule each of us in America holds so dear. All of you have committed an extraordinary act to make sure our democracy survives. And I want to add my words to the generals. That is really important. In many cases, this extraordinary act comes from ordinary women and men, and that's the way, in a democracy, it's actually supposed to work. So in honoring veterans, I want to dignify all of you with the highest accolades I can give you. I want to understand and want all of us in the United States to understand that as veterans, you have shown yourselves to be extraordinary citizens, the highest honor I think anyone can bestow on anyone else. But that brings me to the second point, which is what all of us who benefit from the sacrifices you and your members have made, what we must do to be worthy of the contribution that you've made. I want to add again my words to what General Mattis said. We need to be good citizens. That's what we need to do. Veterans have defended our country, but most of all, they have defended our democracy. And along with it, that really precious notion of citizenship. You have protected our right to exercise our basic responsibilities as citizens. And that means we owe it to all of you, to the brave veterans, to exercise those basic rights and responsibilities that you have so nobly defended. Like voting, we need to do it. We need to run for public office. We need to petition our government. And we need to hold that government accountable. And finally, we need to make sure that we do, through those elected representatives, everything we need to do to make sure the veterans who have defended those citizenship rights, that we make sure we do everything we can to make sure the home they come back to is the right one. What I'm trying to say is that we need to go beyond just mere words in terms of gratitude. We've got to go beyond bumper stickers. We've got to go beyond empty platitudes. Our gratitude must be real, and I'm not sure we can show that gratitude in any more real way than acting as the citizens we should act as. Let me start with voting. You know, we Americans, we don't vote. Certainly not like we used to. In the late 19th century, it was not unusual to have turnout at election time of over 75% of eligible voters in presidential elections. In a recent election in India, India has been an independent democracy since the late 40s, turnout was over 60%. I was elected in a primary election, for those of you not in Pennsylvania, overwhelmingly in May of 2014. The turnout, less than 20% of eligible voters, less than 20%. That is not a democracy, and that does not represent the democratic ideal that you defended, nor is it appropriate behavior in a democracy that we all want to continue. If we truly want to respect what you've done, we have to respect and use the right to vote that you so valiantly defended. Second, running for office. If we don't vote, we don't run for elective office either. Commander-in-Chief said, "This is my first run for public office." It is. I got to say, I did not come straight from the True Value hardware store to the governor's office, just as a matter of point. But I did, that was something that I did. But how many, just think of your own communities around the country, how many local offices are held by people who have been appointed by boards who are desperate for members, borough councils, school boards? It's hard to get good people to leave their private comfort zones to run for public office. People like us can't be bothered to run. And therefore, people like us don't get to elect people like us to public office. And that's not how citizens should behave, and that's not how democracy works. We cannot strengthen democracy by consistently delegating or trying to delegate to others the responsibility we have to govern ourselves. That's not the way democracies are supposed to work, and that's not the democracy that you spent so much of your time and effort and lives defending. Third, petitioning our government. We do a better job of petitioning government, according to many studies, than most other democracies in the world. That is, we write letters to our representatives, we call them on the phone, we email them, we engage them in meetings more than citizens in many, many other countries. But this type of activity, even here, seems to be confined to a very small group of Americans. The suspicion is that too few of us think this kind of activity is worth the effort. So once again, we too often delegate to others the responsibility we have as citizens. Again, that's not the way to honor our veterans. Fourth, citizens in a democracy are meant to hold their elected representatives accountable. Veterans have risked too much, too often, against tyrannies around the world to be happy with the tyranny that has grown out of the indifference we too often exhibit back here at home. John Baer is Philadelphia's in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia Daily News correspondent. In a recent article, he talked about what he calls the democratic deficit, and that exists right here in Pennsylvania, where there's a large disconnect between the views Pennsylvanians hold and the actual policies their representatives enact in Harrisburg. Democracies can't work that way. Democracies can't work unless its citizens ensure that their public servants do what's right, make hard decisions, and represent their views faithfully. And finally, hold the applause on finally here. Finally, veterans' willingness to practice citizenship at the limits must be rewarded back here at home by the representatives who actually run and work the democracy they defended. We need to do an adequate job, or a better than adequate job, of making sure that the home our veterans come back to helps them readjust to civilian life, provides them with the specific services they need as a result of the work they have done for us, and reinforces the sense of gratitude we have for the important things they have done to make our democracy work. They have done important things. You have done important things for us. We need to do important things for you. There are a number of concrete ways I'm proposing to do these things in Pennsylvania, just as an example. First, I'm looking to increase funding for veterans' homes. Second, I want a huge increase in the education of veterans' children's programs. Third, we need to continue programs here in Pennsylvania aimed at things like homelessness, behavioral health and peer support programs, outreach services supporting reintegration, and other programs administered really well through organizations like the VFW. Fourth, the Pennsylvania Military Family Relief Assistance Program provides financial support and assistance to veterans who, for no fault of their own, are facing unforeseen circumstances like a sudden or unexpected loss of income, an emergency need for child care, natural disasters, death or serious illness of a parent, spouse, sibling, or child. Fifth, we need to continue to support the 6 extended care facilities that we run here in Pennsylvania for our veterans. And finally, we need to help veterans find good jobs. Those are things that we owe to veterans who have done so much to defend us when they come back. In addition, I want to make sure that we all do, and I know the VFW is working through all states and the federal government to make sure that we encourage the federal government to do what it should do to address the mental and physical wounds that returning veterans bring back home when they come back home. And at the local level, we continue to need to work to make sure that we have veterans courts and that our counties and municipalities are doing what they need to do to make life back home better. In all these areas, we need to show the gratitude we profess to hold for our veterans in really concrete ways. To be sure, we need to express our gratitude freely, frequently, and openly. But those expressions of gratitude must go beyond mere words. We need to exercise the precious rights veterans have fought to preserve. We need to exercise the responsibilities we each have as citizens to make sure the democracy you fought for actually thrives back here at home. And we need to make sure that the democracy you fought for provides the support you need for a good life back here at home. You need that and you deserve that. The point is that we owe a debt of gratitude to all of you, to all of our fellow citizens for the service they have rendered us, and we need to actually show that gratitude as fully as we can. Thank you to the VFW for doing such a great job of representing veterans so well. Thank you to your members for so faithfully and courageously defending our democracy. And as Governor of Pennsylvania, thank you so much for holding your national convention here in Pennsylvania. Thank you very much.